Don't just think because a major championship, the 2024 Masters, has now come to a close, that golf is still not rolling on the PGA Tour. A signature event this week at the RBC Heritage in Hilton Head, South Carolina. And we welcome on Keith Stewart joining us live from the RBC Heritage to look forward to this signature event and, of course, look back and tie a final bow on what we saw this previous week at Augusta National Golf Club. Keith, thank you so much for taking the time to join us here on the early line.
It is a beautiful day down in the low country. Let's talk a little Masters and, maybe get into the RBC if we have some time.
Yeah, I'm sure we will. The timeline is a little bit of a funky thing this week on the PGA Tour with a signature event in a stacked field following the first major championship of the year in the world of golf. Let's go back to Augusta, though. He was the very short favorite entering the tournament. He is the hottest golfer on planet Earth. He is, frankly, the best golfer on the planet at this moment. Scottie Scheffler wins his second green jacket in the previous 3 years, his second major championship by the age of 27. Scottie Scheffler at 11 under par, your winner at Augusta National, pacing the field, Keith, by 4 strokes. How do you describe the dominant play you have seen out of Scottie Scheffler here this season?
Well, I think the best way to describe how dominant Scottie has been is just to look at what he's accomplished. There's only 2 other players that have won two players championships and 2 green jackets. One's Jack Nicklaus, the other one's Tiger Woods. Only one other player's won the Players and the Masters in the same year, and that's Tiger Woods in 2001. 4 guys now with Scottie have won 2 green jackets by the time that they're 27. Seve, Jack, Tiger. I mean, the list that he's putting himself on, it's unfair to make comparisons. But as far as history goes, Scottie is writing some of his own.
Keith, we've had some of these golfers, break out. Let's just say the Brooks Koepkas of the past, and maybe he could be on a trajectory to take down Tiger Woods and take down Jack Nicklaus for most of the championships won. Now, having said that, where are we putting Scottie Scheffler in that pantheon already? 27 years old, 2 green jackets here. What's in the future for him? What are the expectations we now have for Scottie Scheffler?
Well, immediately the expectations at the level with which he's ball striking right now is the Grand Slam this year. Can he go for 4 in a row? That conversation's already being had. And then it also gets to the point of, okay, well, Scottie's only 27. I feel personally like he's at the beginning of his power, not in the middle. He's got just 9 wins, and he's got a long way to go before he's even 30. As far as I'm concerned, really, to answer your question, I think the sky's actually the limit, because the level of consistency that he has shown over the last 3 years with his ball striking is a testament to just basically how good this guy is of a golfer. And I guess the one thing we could say is that if we were worried about any sort of distraction, other than him becoming a father, I just don't see any. The guy's not on social media. He seems extremely grounded in his faith and in himself. He seems completely content with where he is and with his golf game, and he's super confident, and he probably has one of the best caddy-player relationships on the tour. As far as I'm concerned, I think you'd have to say the over-under is easily 1.5 majors this year that he can take home.
Yeah, absolutely so. Scottie Scheffler in his last 4 events, a victory at the Arnold Palmer Invitational, a signature event on the PGA Tour. He went back-to-back at the Players' Championship, and then he finished tied 2 at the Houston Open, very narrowly getting in on a playoff and, of course, a green jacket at Augusta National this past weekend. So we put him almost in Tiger Woods' category at this moment, Keith, and some of the historic trends you mentioned there that Scottie is paired alongside Tiger. Now, Tiger wasn't in contention on Sunday at Augusta. In fact, he finished in dead last out of all players that made the cut. But to complete 4 rounds in a major championship, what does it mean for Tiger Woods?
I think it's tremendous good news, because he hadn't completed 4 rounds since the 2023 Genesis. So and he hadn't completed 4 rounds in a major since Augusta 2 years ago. So for us, it's all good signs. And it's really not the ankle that's the problem. He's got to get his back healthy and other parts of his body. And let me be clear about this. Augusta National Golf Club is, of all the major championships, the hardest one to walk for him and for anyone. I mean, you're going up 4 stories every time you trek it around 5.2 miles. It really is a tough walk. And I think the only reason that he does, fight through 4 rounds there is that because he knows the golf course so well and because he has such a fondness for the facility and for the tournament. But looking forward to Valhalla, of course, then you've got Pinehurst. We've got a couple easier walks there. Maybe not Kentucky as much as down there in North Carolina for Pinehurst number 2. But Tiger's already talking about taking trips there early to start to, handicap the golf courses, start to figure out, how he can play them. So he's got a healthy mindset. I mean, I know a lot of us, after what we saw on Saturday with the Ben Gay routine and the icy hot patches and everything, we thought that the jet was fired up on Saturday night. For him to be there with his son on Saturday morning is a tremendous sign for all golf fans.
Let's take a look at Tiger Woods as a whole. Expectations maybe not to win major championships or tournaments anymore, but just to finish golf tournaments. When do we see Tiger Woods again? And also, for this season, is it just the majors, or does he have some strategic golf courses that he likes to play that will appear outside of the majors?
Well, he said it himself, Donnie, back in December. If we could get him 1 time a month, that would be great. So going forward over the next, 100 days, including the Masters there, we basically have 1 major a month. Now, he's not going to be able to qualify for many events past that because he'll need the points in the playoffs. So I think we're at a point now where if we could get him in February, March, April, May, and June, and July at the Open Championship, then we're getting it. We're going to get pretty much the standard Tiger slate for the next couple of years going forward, unless, of course, he has some sort of great comeback with his health. But as we saw over the weekend, Tiger's still struggling just to live day to day and be healthy and play competitive golf.
So now we move it forward to the RBC Heritage this week. And when you look at the odds board and you look at the expected field, it's a signature event on the PGA Tour. So many of the same guys, including Scottie Scheffler, that entered last week as the favorites to win a green jacket at Augusta, are doing the same thing this week at the RBC Heritage. Keith, let's start with the timeline. What does it mean for the PGA Tour to have a signature event the week after the first major of the year?
I think it puts a lot of stress on the players. They did it a couple times last year. They did it here after the Masters, and then they gave them a really tough one when they sent everyone to Connecticut and the Travelers 1 week after they played LACC in the U.S. Open. And I think it's kind of just a sign of the times. The schedule in and of itself, they're just trying to piecemeal it together as they put together this partnership agreement with PIF and LIV, and every year the schedule's changing, and I've got news for everybody. It's going to change again next year. It probably will change again the year after that. I'm hopeful by 2026 that we have something in place where we aren't doing this, where even I'm feeling rushed going from Augusta National Golf Club, getting in the car on Monday, running down here 160 miles to Hilton Head. I mean, these guys had to be exhausted after last week. That golf course played so hard in the wind and the conditions that they had in it. It was such a great test. But at the same time, now to come down here and to get it all going again for a huge purse and a lot of points on the line, I think it's tough for everyone involved, and I'm hopeful that going forward that we can space these things out just a little bit more.
So, Keith, 45 seconds left in this segment. Let's talk a couple of odds and picks. Who do you like this week at the RBC Heritage?
Well, my early leans on the early line is I can't take Scheffler at the number that he's at. So I'm going to go with the kid, Ludwig Aubert, unbelievable. 7 straight top 25s. And the last time he was in the Low Country, he won the RSM Classic at Sea Island. A little further down the board, I'm going to go with the hairman. That's Tommy Fleetwood, plus 2,000. He's had 4 starts here. He's played great, and he was obviously excellent at the Masters. And then further down the board, plus 6,600, I love Cam Davis. 3 starts here and one of the strokes gains leaders on property.
Keith Stewart, we appreciate the time. Enjoy the RBC Heritage this week down in Hilton Head, South Carolina.